Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something that's running your entire life right this very second. It's the nervous system, which is basically the operating system for, well, for you.
All right, let's just jump right in with a little thought experiment. Picture this. You're walking down the street, minding your own business, and then, bam! Out of nowhere, a big, kind of mean-looking dog appears. Instantly, your heart's hammering, your muscles are tight, you're ready to either run for it or just freeze on the spot. All of that happens in a fraction of a second. But how? I mean, what is actually happening inside you to make that happen so fast?
Well, it turns out it all boils down to this really fundamental three-step process. It's like a core loop that runs pretty much everything you do. First, your body has to sense the world around it. See the dog, maybe hear it growl. Second, it has to decide what to do with that information. And third, it has to act on that decision. Sense, decide, act. That's it. This simple little loop is the absolute bedrock of your entire nervous system.
Okay, so for a loop like that to work, you need some organization, right? It can't just be a jumbled mess of wires. And it's not. The nervous system is actually split into two main parts that are talking to each other constantly.
The best way to think about it is like a huge company. You've got the central headquarters, the C-suite, where all the major strategy and decisions happen. And then you have this massive network of agents out in the field, all over the place, sending back intel and executing the commands from the top.
So that headquarters, that's your central nervous system, the CNS. It's basically your brain and your spinal cord. That's the command center. And all those field agents? That's the peripheral nervous system, or PNS. And we're talking about a huge network of nerves that wires up the CNS to literally everything else. Your fingers, your toes, your stomach, you name it.
All right, so let's trace this whole process, starting with those agents on the ground. How does your body even sense that dog to begin with?
This is where the sensory division of that peripheral nervous system comes in. Think of these nerves as scouts. Their only job is to constantly watch what's happening, both outside and inside your body, and they just send this fire hose of raw data back to headquarters, back to the CNS.
And these senses kind of fall into two buckets. You've got your special senses, which are the big ones, tied to specific organs in your head, vision, hearing, smell, taste. But then there are the general senses that come from all over, like touch, pain, or feeling hot and cold. And this includes a really cool one called proprioception. That's the reason you can close your eyes and still touch your nose perfectly. It's like your brain has this live internal GPS for your own body.
Okay, the scouts have reported in. The data about the dog, what it looks like, what it sounds like, it's all landed at headquarters, the CNS. And that brings us to the most important part of the loop, the decide phase.
This is really where the magic happens, because your brain doesn't just get a little notification that says dog. No, it gets a flood of raw data that it has to make sense of, and fast. Is this a cute, fluffy puppy, or is this a threat?
And here's the thing, your brain isn't starting from scratch. This is the crucial part. Your CNS dives into your memories to see if this new information rings any bells. It's constantly comparing what's happening now with everything that's happened in the past. It's looking at this dog and cross-referencing it with every other dog it's ever seen to figure out what to do.
So that little voice in your head, that conscious thought that goes, whoa, this looks bad, that's being handled by the VIP section of your brain. It all goes down in the cerebral cortex, that wrinkly outer part that's in charge of all the high-level stuff like thinking and being aware.
All right, the decision's in. It's a threat. Now, headquarters, the CNS, has to get orders out to the troops. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, act.
These commands, which we call motor responses, come in two main flavors. First, you have the somatic system. That's for all the voluntary stuff, the things you choose to do, like, okay, I'm going to run. Then you have the autonomic system. This is the automatic pilot. It handles everything you don't think about, like your heart suddenly beating out of your chest.
And that automatic system, the autonomic one, it has its own two settings that are kind of like a gas pedal and a brake for your body. The sympathetic system is the gas pedal. That's your fight or flight response. It just floors it when things get stressful. The parasympathetic system, that's the brake. It's the rest and digest mode that slows everything back down once the danger's passed. And our dog scenario is the perfect example of how these two work together. Your conscious decision to run, that's your somatic system firing up your leg muscles, but at the exact same moment, your autonomic sympathetic system goes into overdrive, making your heart pound to get more oxygen to those muscles. It all happens at once, perfectly coordinated, without you even having to think about it.
So, we've walked through the whole loop, from seeing the dog to running away. But it all happens so incredibly fast, right? How do the signals travel that quickly? For that, we've got to pop the hood and look at the actual hardware, the wiring inside the brain.
When you look at the nervous system, you're basically looking at two kinds of stuff. First up is the gray matter. The easiest way to think about this is that it's the computer processors of your brain. It's just a dense collection of the main neuron cells, and this is where all the computation, all the actual thinking and deciding gets done.
So if the gray matter is all the little computers, then the white matter is all the cabling that connects them. It's the information highway. It's just bundles and bundles of nerve fibers called axons, and their only job is to zip signals from one chunk of gray matter to another.
And what's amazing is that this isn't just a random spaghetti bowl of wires. No way. It's an incredibly organized superhighway. You've got different lanes depending on where the information is going. You've got tracks that run up and down, connecting the brain to the body. You have commissural fibers that cross from left to right, letting the two halves of your brain talk. And you've got association fibers that connect the front and back of the brain. It's all meticulously laid out.
So when you step back and look at the whole thing, you see this beautiful, ridiculously fast biological circuit. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's something complex like facing a threat or something simple like tasting a piece of chocolate, every single thing you experience is built on this one fundamental repeating loop: sense, decide, and act.
At the end of the day, the big takeaway here is that this incredibly complex, mostly automatic system is running your entire reality, kind of like a program running in the background. Everything you see, hear, and feel is just an electrical signal being interpreted by your brain. And that leaves us with a pretty deep question to chew on, doesn't it? If your whole experience of the world is built from these signals, where does the system stop and where do you actually start?